fresh out the oven.
What is cracking, everybody? It's MegapieMan here, and welcome to another Look at My Map video, this time for Pass Gridiron A27. That is right, this is 7 versions from the last time I did a video about this map, and there have been quite a few changes. So let's go over a couple of them, shall we? As you see here, I have moved around the geometry a little bit more at mid. One of the biggest things that I've managed to do is that I actually shortened mid a bit. And I shortened outside of mid as well. I shortened this area where the train bridge is as well. Just a little bit, not by a ton, but enough that it should be impactful to try to make the map short enough that most classes will have a decent time getting around on it. A problem with Pastime is Pastime's usually plagued with Scouts, the game mode for Team Fortress 2. Obviously, it's the TF2 map if you didn't catch that on. But Pastime is usually plagued with Scouts because Scouts are the fastest class in Team Fortress 2. And because the maps are rather large, to be honest, the stock ones that are officially in the game right now, Brickyard, Timbertown, District, I think that's the third one. There's only 3 of them. They're pretty long. So Scouts is what most people play as in order to get the ball and score, or just move around the map without taking forever and a day to get anywhere. So the idea with this map was to make it shorter, and now I've made it even shorter than it was before. Not super short, but still short. It's like in between. There is, I've talked about it in previous videos. Flurry's been working on a map called Small Time for Pastime, Small Time, and their map is really short when it comes to a Pastime map. They've actually managed to finish it by this point, where I have not finished Gridiron. They have managed to finish Small Time with what they wanted to do with it. But my goal is to try to be between Small Time and official stock maps, and I think I'm at that area. While I like Small Time, I think Small Time is a little bit too small, in my opinion. If you check that map out past Small Time RC1 or RC3 or something, I don't know. You can check it out over on tf2maps.net's website, or I think it's even on the Steam Workshop now. I'll put a picture of it on screen right there. But I think it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit too small. Well, I would say it's on the small side. Gridiron, I want to be medium, whereas official maps are big. Small Time is small, this is going to be medium, and then official maps are large, and something like Timbertown is extra large, because that map is ridiculously huge. But to try to get around the size that I want for most classes to be able to have a decent time with how the speed it works for TF2, as every class moves at a different speed, I'm thinking I'm right about around that area. Without making the map really super small, somebody playing as the heavy weapons guy is not necessarily going to have a great time getting around. Then again, that's how it is for pretty much every map with the heavy weapons guy, and there's not a lot I can do about that, because making the map small enough that heavy can get around relatively easily is going to be way too small for other classes, especially the Scout, and that it'll just be a nightmare. But making it too big means everybody goes Scout. So I think I've finally hit the middle ground. I don't plan on shrinking the map anymore, but I might if I absolutely have to. Because of that, I had to rearrange some of the geometry and cover here in mid, as well as just trying to make mid a bit more open so it doesn't feel as enclosed as it did previously. While you still have cover, it doesn't feel like it's super enclosed, and you can still see players at different places and all that lovely nonsense. Something else that changed is that previously, if you threw the jack or the ball, the thing that is used for a ball in Pastime, if you threw it into the fire here, it would actually get destroyed and then reset and to be dropped after 10 seconds from up here, because that's where the jack spawns. Jack spawns here, falls down here, etc., so on and so forth. But I changed it so that now if you throw the jack out of bounds, it will hit a trigger push that will send it back in bounds, and set off like a fire flare effect. You know what? Let me just, let's see, I'll draw HUD 1. Let me just pick a class here and show it off for the why nots. Something you might also hear is that, be waiting for, please cancel one, is that I've also implemented the announcer from Flurry's small time, or not small time, Flurry's Pastime Plus pack that I talked about previously. If you just heard it right there. The announcer is me. So,
5, 4,
I'm now within my own map.
2, 1. Don't fail me now.
Yeah.
I've got money on this game.
I offered to record some stuff for Flurry since they wanted to do a custom announcer. They were previously using a text-to-speech program that was used for Watergate, for the "We are in the beam" thing at Watergate. But I offered to do some voice work for them. They agreed, and I did what they wanted, and now I've been able to implement that into Gridiron. I didn't do it previously just because I didn't want to go through all the rigmarole of having to get all the files sorted out and all the logic sorted out to overwrite the in-game announcements. Even though Pastime doesn't have a lot of in-game announcements, it has enough that you kind of gotta, you still gotta go through it and implement everything. So now that we have the custom announcer, there's stuff for picking up the jack, for when the jack spawns, for when the jack's in the enemy base, when the jack is in your base, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. But as you can see here, if you throw it out of bounds, it gets shot back inbounds with a nice sound effect and particle effect. Oh, well, I actually have to hit it out of bounds. There you go. I can't remember. Somebody suggested, maybe it was 14-bit who suggested I do that. I'm not entirely sure. I was trying to figure out how in the world to get it so you can't just pick the ball up and chuck it and kill it and cause it to respawn. I tried putting a wall here so you can't immediately throw it out, but that was kind of lame. And then somebody suggested doing the trigger push to shoot the ball back inbounds. And it turned out really, really, really cool, in my opinion. I really like it. If you throw it up here, it shoots back as well. I think that's a really neat idea. Does it make a whole lot of sense in reality? No. Does it make sense enough in TF2? I feel like it does. And I think it looks really cool. Thankfully, I was able to find some nice stock particle effects that I could use for this instead of having to try to get some custom ones made or make some custom ones myself. You know, that kind of nonsense. Because trying to get custom stuff made, if you want it, can be a little bit of a pain if you don't know what you're doing, which I mostly don't, especially when it comes to particles and models and whatnot, and you're at the mercy of other people. So if you're somebody who is talented enough to be able to do art and modeling and that kind of stuff, that is fantastic, because then you can make whatever you want for your own projects. If you're like me, who the only thing you can do is level design, and that's pretty much it, you are at the whim of others if you want to do anything fancy. Or you have to do what is called map givering, by taking elements from other maps and other elements and trying to put them together to make what you want. And I think that works really well. I like it. I'm a fan of it. I hope other people playing the map like it as well. Okay. What else is there to talk about? I moved around some geometry out here.
The jack's in their base.
Yes, as I just said, the jack is in their base. I don't really move around too much over here. I had to adjust this a bit for sightlines. I can't remember exactly what this looked like in the last version of the map that I showed, but it looks like this now, so it helps for pushing out. I mean, the spawn is right there, so I want people who are coming out of their spawn to have the advantage right here. It does make that doorway less viable for people pushing out of mid, as it's more for people pushing into mid, but it sort of makes it so that if you're going into mid, you go through this door or that door. If you're coming out of mid, you go through that door or the path that's over there. I changed around the stuff in here because I added a new route that goes up over here to get to... Something's popping in and out of existence over there, and I don't know what's going on, and it's kind of getting annoying. Weird. Anyway, yeah, so now you can go up here and you can use this jump pad for the bonus goal, which is right there. You can also use that jump pad to get the throw-in goal, which is now over here. Used to be over here, moved it over there. The reason why I moved it is that this route wasn't really being used all that much to go through here by attackers. So the throw-in goal wasn't being used really at all. And I played around with the idea of changing the amount of points you're awarded for each goal, since I moved the throw-in goal from there to over there, and the throw-in goal was easier. I had it so the throw-in goal was worth 1 point, and the run-in was worth 2 points. I've gotten rid of that, because that was just confusing for people. So now both run-in and throw-in are worth 1 point, but there's different ways to get to it. You can go through the building, you can go through mid, you can go around that side, under the bridge, in order to get to one of the other goals. And they're far enough apart horizontally that one sentry isn't going to really be able to lock down the entire thing. 2 sentries would, of course, but 1 sentry's not going to be able to do it. But it makes it so that you do have options, since this side over here on the left for attackers tends to be favored. Now, I rearranged all of the geometry over here. Previously, I had...
The Jack is in their base.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, me. The Jack is in their base. I had it so that there was a path that went up here, walked across this, over to the top of that train bridge, and then on top of that train car, and then you could keep going over. And that was a problem, because that was a really good route. And it was such a good route that people didn't really use any other routes. If they were going to score, they would grab the Jack, they would go this way, and then they would score. And that was it. And that's kind of lame, because I have these other routes that is the majority of the map, and they weren't being used. So I had to, even though I liked the route that was over here, I actually had to nerf it by quite a bit and make it worse in order to make the others better. I did change around the other routes some when I made this a little bit shorter. That should also help overall for deciding which route you want to use to go from mid to the goals. But by changing this, it's still a pretty good route. If you're playing as Scout, you can still come this way, jump across to here, and move that way. But other classes can't really do that, since you can't do a crouch jump onto that. You can get onto this bridge, but you can't get onto the train car. And it should dissuade some people from wanting to use this route and go immediately straight to the goals. Now, what this has created is a very viable defense option, which is on top of this truck. And I'm not sure if this is a good or bad thing. Building a sentry up here on top of this truck is great for defense, because you can cover here, you can cover there, you can cover here. This route that I opened up on this side should make it a little bit easier to deal with sentries that are here, since I believe that outranges it unless you have the Wrangler. And even if you do have the Wrangler, there's that little lip of the jump pad that can work to block your bullets for anybody over there. But hopefully the problem with that opening compared to these other openings is that opening goes right past the spawn room, which was behind this building, this brush here, the defending spawn. When the Jack is in a position like this, or in this case, in their base, they spawn behind that brush. So you're pretty close to spawn, but you do outrange the sentry guns on top of this truck. I don't really know. I want this truck here because it offers really good cover for this area. I don't want this spot to be just big open nothingness. And anything I put here is going to pretty much be not effective as cover unless it's rather sizable. And this truck is perfect for the size of cover that I want here. But whether or not it'll be too problematic or continue to be problematic with engineers is something I'm just going to have to keep an eye on. Over here, sometimes you'll see sentry guns built up over here, but it's usually not quite as useful since it's not as close, and the sentries would... Oh, that was close enough to catch the score. Okay. I didn't really... Maybe I needed to look into the brush to make sure that that actually is the right spot and not too far sticking out. Anyway. But yeah, a sentry can be blocked by that truck, So
Mission
getting up here
begins
on the
in
truck
10 seconds.
originally is a good idea. I'm still not sure if this is
5,
problematic or not,
4,
but it's something that'll have to be seen with
3,
testing.
2,
And
1.
I think
Show
that
them what you're made of.
is pretty much it. I didn't really implement anything else new from Flurry's Pastime Plus pack outside of the announcer. I don't want to have everything from the Pastime Plus pack in Gridiron, because some of the things that Flurry decided to do, I don't particularly 100% agree with, like all of the buffs that Flurry has for the Jack carrier and the people around the Jack carriers in order to give them like crits and sentry resistance and all that kind of stuff. I don't 100% agree with that. And I don't agree with making all of the goals worth 2 points and the bonus worth 3, because while, yes, that does make games last less amount of time, since scoring a goal is worth 2 instead of 1, it kind of makes it so that games end before people really get a chance to defend, from what I've played, at least of small time. Flurry's map that they were messing around with the pastime logic with, because you only need to get 3 goals, which is to 6 points, and there's no way to actually get 5 points unless you get a goal and then the bonus goal, which is kind of weird. By default, if you don't get the bonus goal, you get 6 points to win, even though you need only 5 points to win, and having them worth 2 means you need 3 goals opposed to 5, and that just doesn't... It seems like it's a bit too easy to get 3 goals opposed to needing to get the 5 in order to win. It kind of messes with defenders a bit. I tried to find a middle ground there by making the goals worth different amounts of points. It didn't really work out, so they're all back down to 1 point, 1 point, and 3 points, but it's spread out and with cover blocking them off, that it should make it different enough of deciding where you want to go in order to score. Like if there's a sentry gun here, as I talked about before, since this truck is favored, and you're coming from these paths, trying to get to throw-in goal is not going to happen. And you're going to be able to block like to the mid of the run-in goal, but I don't think sentries can completely block off the run-in goal from this spot. So you still have the far side of the run-in goal that you can go into by either going across this, back down that way, going through the building, or going through this new route past spawn into there. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but you should be able to get around sentries at least a little bit. Sentries have been sort of favoring this ramp and this truck, which I think is fine. NGs need somewhere to put their sentry guns. I did put this full ammo over here, thinking that they would build up over here in order to be able to block off all of this area, but instead they build up over there. And I'm not going to move the full ammo to over there, because that'll just make them even stronger than they already are. So it's going to stay where it's at. So you actually have to move in order to get some ammo. There's a little bit of ammo over here, a little bit of metal. But in order to get a lot of metal, you're going to have to move around, and you can't just stay put. But I think that's it. That's pretty much all the things that have changed. I did change around this platform a little bit to be a bit less janky and awkward. You can now jump on top of the spool in order to get up here. But I wanted to move... People ask to have something over here that you can jump on to get up there, but I can't do that, because then you'll be standing up here, and you'll have a sniper sightline right to that door, and that is a mess. So if you want to get up there from this side, you kind of have to go the long way around, and then you can get on top of this spool, jump up top here. You can still stand up here as a sniper, but because you have to take a more roundabout route, I don't see it happening as often. And it's not necessarily better to go this way and get up there than it is to go around this way and get up here. And if you are sniping from up here, you're pretty out in the open. Plus, there's the other route over there that you can't cover at all. I'm trying to think if there's any... Is there anywhere else that a sniper could be, that they could cover everything? if you're standing up here, you can't
Mission ends in
cover
60
everything. You can
seconds.
cover stuff coming from this way a little bit until they get close. You can cover stuff from over there. You can't really cover what's going on over there. The mission's going to end in 60 seconds. So that's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Look at My Map, this time for Past Gridiron A27. I'm a MegapieMan. You can check out me or my stuff either on this channel or on my main channel, youtube.com/MegapiemanPHD. This channel, I do level design and voice acting videos. On my main channel, I do video game reviews stuff and other things that require editing and scripts, whereas this, I don't do that. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.